Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for not participating in the pastor session next door. I really like you being here. I'm going to talk about InnerSourcing and how we use that to distribute a automation platform at my company. But first, you know the drill. Sponsors, we like them because of stickers or otherwise. Can you please give a round of applause for them for making life a bit easier on the organizers. So, first, me. Hi, I'm Jelle de Graaf. I work for OGD ICT-Dienste in the Netherlands, an IT service provider. I currently work as a DevOps engineer, automating things for my colleagues internally. I love automating things. I love PowerShell. If you gave me a day's work of PowerShell, I'm a happy camper. And I love gaming on every available platform, including PowerShell, by the way. I have a community demo later today. If you think gaming in PowerShell just because you can is cool, make sure to watch that one. If you want to link, I'm on LinkedIn. You can. So, my headquarters. As an IT service provider, we create a lot of scripts for our customers. And with that, there's a lot of opportunity for overlap. I don't know how many scripts in my organization there are which send an email to a user, but I'm sure I can't count it on one or two hands. And that's a shame. We would like to have a central repository. That's the dream, with all kinds of scripts for everybody to place and to use. And so that you have so you only need to create a script once, and then can everybody else use it multiple times. We did that. And today I'm going to talk to you about how we created that and how we used InnerSourcing to do just that. But first, what is InnerSourcing? This is InnerSourcing. I'll give you a moment to read. The sharing of knowledge, skills, and code inside your organization using open source style collaboration. Okay, cool. So what's open source? Open source is based on a few principles. For one, it's transparent. Your code and your information are open for everybody. Also, everybody is allowed to participate. If you release often, you'll discover more than when you don't. Make sure you always use the best idea, not just the usual ideas from the usual suspects. And if you unite people among a common purpose, you'll create synergy. So, terminology. We went InnerSourcing. We had this project, this thought, where we wanted to create this central repository of scripts, and we thought we can do this. Let's do it. So a couple of colleagues came together and created it, and it started out slow, like all things can, and it gradually gained traction and went bigger and bigger. There were more scripts. At first, it was just a central repository with a bunch of random scripts from enthusiastic colleagues. But later on, there were more repositories with more PowerShell modules, pipelines to run them, and a board for collaboration. InnerSourcing, yes, we can do this. We thought we will have our colleagues come in and get free work. And if we splash in some gamification, award people badges and points, they will stick around. If we are the platform team, we can let everybody else build on top of that. We just need to tidy it up, make it perfect so everybody can join in, and it's okay. And this will totally work for us. No. Let me introduce you to the 5 myths of InnerSource. There's a nice video from Martin Woodward from GitHub on this. I will reference to that later. If you find it interesting, I recommend you watch that. He talks about these 5 myths. I'm going to talk about them and compare them to my reality. So at first, there's no such thing as free work. Eventually, you'll do most of the work yourself. It's a myth that if you give the give the start sign, everybody will come in and do your job for you. That's not the truth. And you also have to invest in opening up, because you can't just say, my work is here, please go, I'll be having a coffee. No, you need to invite people in, make it easy for them to enter and stuff. If all you offer are badges and rewards to stick around, people aren't incentivized enough to stick around. You don't need to tidy everything up. If it's good enough for production and there's tests, it's good enough to InnerSource. try to stay away from framework or platform teams. You want to try to keep it vertical, not horizontal. I'll explain a bit more later. And InnerSourcing won't work here. That's something I was going to say. That's something you hear a lot, but I never heard someone say InnerSourcing won't work here, because I never heard anybody talk about InnerSourcing. But it's a common term. People think this won't work in my organization, but it can. For the next 28 minutes, I will talk about these subjects a bit more. I want to introduce you to the contribution funnel. This says something about the people interacting with your project. Most of the people will be just consumers, and that's okay. You have a product, and it has a purpose, and the purpose mainly is for people to use it, and that's fine. Then there's a smaller group who will contribute some of their time on the project. They might add some documentation or file a bug report. Then an even smaller group will contribute actual code. They will create a pull request, fixing a bug. They will write a pester test or add a new feature to your product. And then finally, there's the core group, the maintainers, possibly you if you start such a project. And they give the project direction. They approve the pull requests done by others, and they invite new contributors. In my case, the numbers look something like this. We have 250-ish users, of which 20 are time contributors, of which 11 are code contributors, of which 6 are the actual maintainers. 3 of which are present in this very room right now. So, in the beginning, there we went. With much enthusiasm, we started building. Bam, there was an Azure DevOps project. Bam, there was a first repository. Bam, there was the documentation. Who am I kidding? Everybody hates writing documentation. That didn't happen just yet. What did happen was multiple repositories containing multiple PowerShell modules, at least the start of them. And some important first steps too. The first one is tests, specifically pester tests. If you write code that needs to be production grade, it's a good idea to have automated tests to make sure your code always does what it needs to be doing. More so if you invite people in who can actually change your code and possibly break it, just have tests. We thought that was important, so we did it straight away. There was a rights infrastructure. While everybody in our company is able to see the project and create a pull request, only the maintainers and a few core contributors can actually approve pull requests. This to make sure that no two people who are very enthusiastic and start writing code, and one writes it and one reviews it and then pushes it through, but without much knowledge of the project, could break your code. This is a necessary quality control to keep the standard high. A version control. I would love to say, of course. We use Git on Azure DevOps. A quick question. Who agrees with this? Thank you. Oh, you don't agree? It's a negative. All right. Then I don't need to take someone apart later on to convince them. Okay, glad we're on the same page. Okay, so the basics were there. And then we went on and we noticed some indecisiveness at some point. It was a bunch of colleagues just getting together loosely. And decisions were taking long to make. There was this central meetup every 2 weeks, and when something needed to be decided, it would be decided there. But sometimes it would take 2, 3, 4 iterations before decisions were made. It was long, and there was no general direction of the project after the main scaffolding had been done. So we instated a product owner to take care of that. We also created templates for everything. Create a pull request, there's a template. Create a work item, template. New piece of code, template. Pester test, template. Everything that can be created new has a template. That's good for new people who don't really know the ropes yet, so that they have a head start and can create something with value quickly. But also for the people who had done it 100 times, Because, well, after your 100th time of creating a user story, you might think, okay, I'll just do, I want this instead of as a administrator. So it's good for everybody. This is a really nice thing we discovered. There's the good first issue tag. It's reserved for user stories that aren't necessarily easy, but don't require a lot of knowledge about the project. It's a really bummer if you are new to a project and say, okay, I'm full of energy. I want to help out. What can I do? And the answer is, well, you can read this documentation, and when you're done in 2 days, you can start here. That's a real turnoff. So this good first issue tag lets new people identify work items where they can start work straight away or almost straight away. This project is none of our main jobs. We all have our day-to-day team activities, and this is all a side project for everybody. So that means probably most of the people who contribute don't have the Azure DevOps project open all day. They don't keep tabs on the project every hour of every day. Then it can happen that someone creates a pull request and thinks, okay, this is here now, it will get reviewed and then pushed. And that it will lay there for days or weeks or longer than wanted. What we did is we created a Teams channel with notifications of new pull requests. So whenever there is a new one, we get a Teams notification in our face, and then we can act upon it if we want, or ignore it still, but at least it's notified now. My favorite subject, gamification. You need to motivate people to come into your project and stay in your project. And simply awarding points doesn't cut it. We all like stickers, right? I see them at the booth. I see them everywhere. Stickers is good. Point is, you need to make it easy to enter, and having an interesting project is a big part of that. But I can't influence that from here. So let's see what we can influence. Make it sure that people can enter easily. Have a clear architecture, understandable. Have good documentation, such things. If people come in, they straight away see what's up and how they can help. It also helps if people are allowed to spend time on your project. Depending on the size of your company, it's not always a given that people are allowed. In my case, at times I asked a colleague, saying, you were so enthusiastic about this project. How come I don't see you more often? And then they say, well, I'm not allowed. I have my daily business, and my manager won't allow me to spend more. It really helps if you have buy-in from upper management, saying it's okay to collaborate on this, or maybe even a company policy that endorses cross-team collaboration. That helps too. Make sure people know that when they contribute, the product gets better. It's kind of logical, but it does. And even more so, if you start working on a feature and at the same time 3 others also do that, by the time you're done and the others, the project is 4 features richer. So it's give or take. And in theory, you should be able to take more than you give, because there are multiple collaborators adding stuff as well. It's a bit like a pyramid scheme, but this one is legal, I promise. And finally, you don't necessarily have to stand above bribes. Like I said, everybody loves a sticker. This is the sticker of our project, and I just threw them around, and now I see multiple colleagues with that sticker. It's really fun. 2 times now we organized a day where people could come together physically on a location and learn about the project. There were several speakers. There was a 101 workshop. Ask the experts. There was time and opportunity to work on the project. Tap someone on the shoulder. Hey, shall we do this together? Or ask someone who knows a lot about the project to learn. All covered with food and snacks and a commemorative token and a prize for the best idea at the end of the day. So it's InSourcing. It's not outsourcing. Outsourcing is harder, but within your company, it's okay. Right. This is the process arc of what needs to be done to add something to my specific project. It starts with having an idea. Without an idea, there's nothing to add. And then you have to write it down, because otherwise it's only in your head. Pretty understandable. Then you have to write the actual code, the fun part of this arc. Then you need to write the tests, because no tests, no glory. And finally, you have to add it to the product itself. All right, to keep you from falling asleep, can you please all stand up for me? They can, how nice. Right, in this arc, we're going to walk through it. And if you can't do something, I will ask you to sit down. So at first, if you never have any ideas about your work, please sit down now. Or keep standing up if you're ashamed to sit down at this point. So everybody's still standing. That's great. Everybody who doesn't know how to create a work item or a ticket of some sort, please sit down now. All right, still going strong. This is the tricky one. Everybody who doesn't know how to write PowerShell code, please sit down now. Yes, this is recorded. Think carefully. Cool. Everybody who doesn't know how to write pesta tests, please sit down now. There we go. And finally, everybody who doesn't know how to read and follow an instruction to the letter, please sit down now. Okay, so take a look at the people still standing up. 2, 4, 6, 7. Those are the people, in theory, who could go through this entire process and add something to our product. And that's great. Those are the people who don't require much assistance, and that's totally awesome. But if you remember, you were all standing up at the beginning. You can sit down, by the way. Thank you. All the people who were standing at the beginning and are sitting down at the latest point might have some great ideas. But if you don't facilitate them to add to your product, those ideas are lost. So think about it. Keep an open mind for everybody who wants to add. In our case, we created the required prerequisites for every step. And everybody can just step in wherever they want. Perhaps you have a good idea and already a script for it. Then you go like this, and then you don't know how to create a pesta test. You ask someone to create that test for you. Downside is there might be nobody around to create the test, and it will stall. But at least it has a chance, and not you don't know how to do all this. I don't want you to participate. It can, yep. it might be able to, but then you still have to check it. And if you don't know how to write pesta test, you probably don't know how to check it. But yeah, Copilot can help. It's demo time. I'm not a really technical person, so I asked my colleague Niels to do this demo for me. For that, we go to Teams. And I must apologize beforehand because the Wi-Fi is iffy and the frame rate is horrible. And we didn't get sound working. So I will narrate what Niels does while he does it. So Niels, thank you. You can hear us. We can't hear you. Can you wave, please, if you can? Great. So this all starts with having an idea, right? And then you have to write it down. Niels, can you please show us how to write an idea down? Cool. Well, there we go. This is Azure DevOps we use for this project. And Niels will create a user story with the well-known syntax. As a persona, I want subjects because of reasons. Yes, because of reasons. He wants it. And save. That easy. Now it's written down. Now someone can pick it up. Okay, you can elaborate on what needs to be done, sure. But if Niels wants to start work straight away, he can just drag it to the right and start work. That's cool. Okay, so the next step will be creating the code, writing the PowerShell code. Niels, can you show us that, please? Let's see, Niels is writing a function, just a simple function. Niels, by the way, is our star in typing first time right. He never has to backspace. He never has to revisit his code. He just types and it works. It's really awesome. I love him. Okay, just simple. Okay, simple demo function. Cool. Now the harder part. Niels, can you show us how to create a pester test? Oh, that's a bit harder. Okay, while Niels is writing the pester test, don't look at it too much because, well, most of you don't even know how to create it, so it's okay. I will say why tests are important or how they work. Tests can be used to automatically check the output of a script versus something you would expect. So perhaps there's a function that inputs a name and then it should say hello name, for example. This test can start your function, input the name Niels, and then see what it outputs. And it sees hello Niels. It checks it versus something it has written down in its test, compares it, and if it's the same, the test will succeed. If it's not the same, the test will fail. And if the test fails, you can halt your pull request on that, for example. You can say this pull request can only be merged if all tests succeed. That way you can guarantee that nothing has been broken with this current pull request you want to accept. Okay, looks about done. Then it needs to be put in a pull request. So there we go. Yes, new pull requests, create. Of course, this is a simplified example, but it's as simple as this. And as you can see, some tests are already starting. This is not the test Niels just wrote. This is a test that's already in place that checks the script and the entire code base where the script resides is still compliant to the tests. And we will hopefully see, yes, it will succeed. And there's an optional test as well. You can say this must happen and this is nice if it would happen. That's an optional test. That's also correct. Okay, cool. So now the pull request is ready to be reviewed because, well, even though Niels can type really efficient and, well, I don't know if his code is actually any good. So we have code reviews by our colleagues. And because Niels can't review his own code or isn't allowed to, I've asked my other colleague, Sandra, to do that. So Sandra will show you how to do a code review. Looks like the code is all in order and Sandra can approve. There's this button called approve. And when you do so, there's the, okay, I approve this message saying this is a pull request. And Niels says, I want to merge this. I am okay with this being in the new version. Sandra says, I'm okay as well. So then we can proceed. Niels will get a notification of this and be happy about it. And Niels can actually, or if Niels doesn't have the rights for it, he can complete the pull request. Done by a simple click on a complete button and one button again. There we go. And now it's merged. Now it's there in the full product. We see in the main branch, there's this new awesome feature added. And that's it. That's how, at least in my example, but it stands for many other companies, how you add to Codebase. But I think most of you knew this already. Okay, happy news. Thank you. See you later. Talk to you later. All right. Okie doke. Next thing, tidy everything up. Well, you don't necessarily need to. It helps if your code base isn't just your scribblings that only you can understand with no documentation, no comments, and all aliases whatsoever. But it doesn't need to be pristine. Usually, if it's the basic functionality is good enough, and if it's good enough for production, it's good enough to InnerSource. Even if it's not in production yet, our project, we started InnerSourcing way before production. We did a Google thing where it was in open tests for a whole long time. But after the initial Azure DevOps projects and repositories were bound, everybody was welcome to join in, and it can work. So don't feel the need to make everything 100% readable and good, because other people will look at it. It's okay. Framework teams. But I like platform teams better because my joke about Mario and Luigi being a platform team works better. Let's say there's three products that need to be created in your project, and they all need some tests, some code, and some documentation. The quickest way to do that is to focus on one product and do everything that's required to release the product. Then after 1/3 of the time, you have 1/3 of your value added. So far, so good. But sometimes horizontal teams, platform teams, whatever you want to call them, who are specialized in one field, are already present or created. And let's say there's one team for code, one for test tests, one for documentation. When they do their work respectively and hand it over to the next team, after 1/3 of the time, in this example, well, all the code has been written, so functionally it should be okay, but there's no value added. No product has been finished yet. Same for the next team. After 2/3 of the time, still no value added. I sound like a DevOps engineer now. It's only for the third team. If they finish their work, then value gets added per product. So this is a waterfall. And I think nowadays we like more agile approaches to delivering value. InnerSourcing won't work here. It might just work for you. Just be aware of some things. Don't expect free work. It's not like that. It's not. If only it were that easy. Make sure people are interested to come to your project and stay there. It's good to have long-time collaborators instead of new people all the time, because they just work a bit more experienced. InnerSourcing is a long-term investment. If you look at it from an hour spent perspective, it might take a long while before you break even, or it might not happen at all. It might be that you spend more time and energy in inviting people, getting people to know the project than the work you get in return. But you can still be the better for it, because people who actually contribute to a project are more incentivized to use it and to how do you call it? Endorse it to their colleagues. Recommend, that's the word. Also, if you have more views from different perspectives in your organization, that can have value as well. Because if with your core team decide on all the functionality, you might miss something from out in the field. And if someone from the field collaborates with you on the project, it has a different perspective and might be valuable for you. So if you take all this in mind, I'm sure you can change your mood from InnerSourcing from this to that. And with that, I thank you for your time today. I have a few links for you if you want to take a picture. This is your time. It's also in the slides and in the recording. So if you want to take a look at it later, you will be able to find it. And now we have time for questions. Yes.
This funnel that was consumers and contributors and maintainers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
How do you distribute internally to the consumers? Because what strategy do you use for the modules?
The question taken short is, how do you distribute the product to your consumers? Funny, I can't point you to my other talk from yesterday, because that was the product I was talking about. We created this product which can synchronize files and pipelines from one Azure DevOps repository and project to another one, and that's how we do it. So there's this central place where everything resides, and there's the repositories of our customer teams. And we use a wrapper template construction where the wrapper templates the wrapper pipelines start a template pipeline. The template pipelines are in the central repository, and the wrappers get distributed to our customer teams. Then they can customize the wrappers to fit their customer needs. and they will start the template. So we have this in-house tool to synchronize it. Any other questions? Was I that clear? Okay, well, then I will give you back 15 minutes of your time, and I'll be here for the rest of the conference to answer any questions if you might have them later. Thank you.
Thank you.